Good morning and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lode Holt. I remember a devotional story from a book I had as a child. It was from a time before I could read, so my memory of it involves one of my parents reading it to me, and I'm sure I've lost some of the details in the story. Here's what I remember. There was a new boy at school, and he hadn't been accepted well. The other students didn't find much in common with this new boy who had come into their community mid-year, and so he was often alone. The class took a field trip and they were gathered in a field by a river for a picnic lunch when suddenly some children started screaming. One of the most popular boys had fallen into the river and couldn't swim. The water was carrying him downriver as he flailed in the current. The teachers and other children stood helpless on the bank, not knowing what to do. Suddenly there was a splash, and the new boy swam out with powerful strokes, took hold of the popular kid, and pulled him to the bank. When they got to shore, the kids crowded around the saved popular boy, talking and jabbering. Eventually, someone had the idea to take up a collection and give it to the new boy who had just saved him. When the teacher looked for him, she found him sitting off by himself under a tree. She offered him the collection and he said, "I don't want that." She looked back and asked, "What do you want?" The kid looked at the crowd of children around the popular boy and said, "I just want to be loved like he is." People come to church yearning to belong. This week we are looking at what people expect of a church, and that kind of belonging is one of the most important aspects. Indeed, it is an especially pressing issue today. Right now, we live in a very divided world. We are divided over religion, over politics, over race, over societal issues. I'm sure you know as well as I do how the list could go on and on. And what's more, we live in a world that doesn't promote civil discourse about such topics, and instead it's, if you believe differently than I do, you are wrong. Then we dismiss each other and don't have anything to do with each other. We leave people off, sitting under a tree, alone. What's more, in today's world, life has been trivialized. In many ways, we live on the surface, never looking deeper. I remember a couple of commercials from years ago, and interestingly enough, both of them were for breakfast cereals. There was an Apple Jacks commercial where people were chowing down on their Apple Jacks, and when someone asked them why they like them, the answer was, "We don't know why we like them. We just do." The commercial gave the impression that they couldn't be bothered with looking deeper. The other commercial showed a family walking the aisles of a grocery store with distraught looks on their faces. "There's nothing new here," one of them said. Then the mother, noticing a warm glow from the next aisle, said, "I'd say there's something very new here." Turns out it was some form of bran cereal. We may all be looking for something new, but I hope it's something more significant than bran cereal. We have trivialized life. People want to be part of something important, and we want to share that with others. Being linked overcomes loneliness. Part of a church transcends the superficiality of culture and gives us purpose and meaning as we reach out in compassion and care for others. People come to church to find identity, values, warmth, and belonging. There's a famous story about a 5-year-old boy whose family had just moved to town. He came to Sunday school, but the teacher noticed that he didn't have a left hand. She didn't ask about it and moved on with the class. It was a great class, and when it was time to be over, she moved into the closing ritual they did every week. "Okay, children," she said, "get your hands ready. Here's the church and here's the steeple." And that's when she remembered about Tommy's missing hand. She stammered and didn't know what to do. Then the little girl sitting next to Tommy held up her left hand to match Tommy's right hand and said, "Tommy, let's make the church together." We belong to God. We belong to each other. Let's make the church together. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.